This is Cody Newberry from Movie Battleground. This is my first time hosting for this, and we have a pretty big match tonight. It's a triple threat. It's between Russell Howell, Jessica Morgan, and Nico Regoli. So this will be a bloodbath, hopefully. Hopefully they hate each other after this, and there will be a lot of bloodshed. I'll just introduce them quick, and we'll get started. First up, Russell, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good, man. Competing against two good people here. Just hoping to bring out the best I possibly can. Just had a tag match, so I'm a little tired, so we'll see how it goes. Outside of that, though, I'm looking forward to competing, man. Get a W under my belt, hopefully, here.
Awesome. And Jessica, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I have to compete against my son, for Christ's sake. And I'm going to yell at him probably a lot.
Love you too, Mom.
Which is
okay. Didn't know this was a thing. I'm a little creeped out, but we'll go to your son, Nico.
This is me leaving.
It's a running joke. She's my trivia mom. But I'm excited for this match. You know, my last match against Matt Beer was kind of difficult. I was just getting used to the format and everything. And also the pitch round was a lot different from today's pitch round will go. I had to pitch 5 movies, and I only got like 40 seconds to go through each of them. Thankfully, I'm getting extra time this time. And, I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right. So if you haven't joined us before, there will be 5 rounds. They have practiced or at least come up with some of their arguments beforehand. Each player has an extension that they can add at any time. So just let me know before the match starts. Do not just throw it out there in the middle that you want to add. And there'll be a speed round after that. Two fighters will go into the speed round. If somehow we are tied entering, we will do a speed round question with 4. Competitors, do you have anything to say before we start?
Shambhala.
Okay. So, our first question is, what is the worst? Nope, that's not right at all. What is the best role that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has had? And we're going to start with Russell.
I chose Maui from Moana just because of the simple fact that it's completely uncharacteristic of The Rock to star in an animated film. He's not relying on his big physique to action-packed to woe you and everything like that, explosions and all that fun stuff. We actually see the different side of Dwayne Johnson, just how comedic he really is behind the screen, a presence. It kind of reminds me of Robin Williams when he was in Aladdin. He played Genie. And just the relationship he strikes up with Moana. He kind of has almost like literally like a big brother formation with her. And it's funny because he's like really kind of bigger, but he's not really smarter. So it's just kind of cute to see that play off of each other. Overall, to me, I think, like I said, The Rock being in an animated film really showcases why he's such a versatile actor, both on and off the screen. And yeah, that's my choice.
All right. Good choice, I think. Jessica, you will be next.
Alrighty, I kind of went a little bit out of the box on mine. We've seen quite a few movies where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's been the hero, the good guy. I'm going to save the world. But how about one of the few times where we've actually seen him kind of turn into the bad guy? And I am talking about Sarge from the movie Doom.
Okay. We just save it for the debate. Okay. That's an interesting choice. I will give you that. Not one that jumped to my head, but I'm excited to see where you take it. So, Jessica's son, Nico, what is your choice?
So I went with one of his more recent roles. I went with the role of Dr. Smolder Bravestone, a.k.a. Spencer Gilpin, from the new Jumanji movie. Now, I feel like this is a very interesting role for him because essentially he's playing 2 roles in one. He is playing the video game character of Smolder Bravestone, which is basically built for The Rock to play. But at the same time, he's also playing like this teenage boy trapped inside of the body of this person that is basically The Rock in the form of a video game character.
All right. So no one has activated their extension, so you will have 5 minutes Let's go.
Okay, so Maui, you said that it's a different choice for The Rock in that he's not playing a muscular built guy with a bunch of flamboyant explosions behind him. Except that's kind of what Maui is. He is built like a muscular dude, like The Rock, with a flowing head of hair, might I add. And he's got the same charisma as The Rock. With the aid of his magic, he has like the pyrotechnics, the explosion going on behind him. I think the most different thing about The Rock in this movie compared to anything else he's done is that he sings in this movie. And granted, he's done that before on like Jimmy Fallon. So we're basically seeing The Rock.
You could sit there. You could sit there and say. You can sit there and say everybody sung on that or on late night television. I mean, it's what he brings to the table as Maui. Yeah, you said he's big. He's more fat, if anything. He's more herky. He's not muscular. It's not the explosion scene like Fast and the Furious, like what else was he in? All these other films that he was in, the same type of film. Cookie Cutter, the same film. Action, Skyscraper, San Andreas, same thing. Explosions, boom, boom, boom. This is something where he steps back on it, like behind the scenes. He's not actually out in front of the camera. He's actually going behind the scenes, doing the voice for a character. Just his charismatic rock, personality really shines through. And we see this is why he's such a gem of an actor, is because he's able to do both. Just like Robin Williams, like I said, it's just one of those things where I think Maui is his best role. Doom's forgettable. And yeah, Jumanji was good, but I think if you're going to something that actually tested the character of an actor, I think stepping into a cartoon is a lot harder than just flexing your muscles and stuff like that on a screen. That's just my opinion.
But again, I feel like with your character of Maui, Rock is basically playing himself in cartoon form. In the case of Dr. Smolder Bravestone, The Rock is playing a child's portrayal of The Rock, which is very interesting in its own right. Like, he's playing this nerdy boy trapped in this muscular dude's body, and you see him like when he has his first kiss with what's her name, Kirsten Gillibrand. I'm forgetting her name right now, but that's unimportant to the argument. Like, when they first kiss, it's like they're like licking each other's chins, like they have no idea how to physically kiss another human being, and like that fits the nerdy boy inside of this macho character.
But you have Maui in Moana, who's a complete airhead. He's more of a big brother figure than like a father figure, obviously. He's more of a big brother figure to Moana. And I think that's why it's so funny, because he's necessarily not relying on his smarts. He's far from it. If you've watched the movie Moana, he's far from smart. Where you see, he always tries to think his way out of the box. Skyscraper, he's always thinking outside the box. San Andreas, he's always one step ahead of the game. In this, he's taking a back seat. He's not being the center of attention of a film like Moana is. So to me, I think, like I said, I believe Moana, like Maui from Moana, is his best role. It's something outside of the box. It's something different, not typical Dwayne Johnson that we're used to seeing. And on top of it, he sings, and he sings pretty good. So for that, I have to credit the Rock for choosing this role. I think it's his best performance.
Like, I'm kind of getting tired of The Rock always having to be the good guy, the savior. I'm going to jump in and save the day. You know what? Let's get back to the old Rock when he was first starting into the WWE, and he was kind of the bad guy. I miss the bad guy. In Doom, Sarge is like the biggest douche in the universe. Go figure with a name like Sarge. But it plays to that characteristic so well that when you finally start to see at the end where he is transforming him, where we realize that he is transforming into an imp because, well...
But again, that's kind of not
deemed his soul to be terrible, so he's going to be evil. I believed every second of it.
But that's still not kind of out of The Rock's range, because like when he was a heel in WWE, he also played the douche. Like, he basically just called everyone a Rudy Poo candy ass, and I'm trying to eat dinner and the food's falling out of my mouth. Anyway. Yeah, like he basically called people names, gave them the rock bottom, said he was going to shove their foot up his ass, and then just walk away. Like
this is why I chose a cartoon. He basically was taking what he was in WWF, WWE, cut and paste, make it for Doom. The same type as egotistical type guy that he is. just think he's better than everybody else. It was the same exact Rock that we saw in the ring for all those years in Doom. Pretty much, it's the same thing.
Okay. So this is going to be your closing arguments, and try to stick away from the Rock being put on screen. Try to say what made this role his strongest out of his filmography. Try to do that if you guys can. And we're going to start with, again, Russell. You'll go first.
I think this is his better role just because of the fact it's not the typical Dwayne Johnson film. It's not action scenes. It's not Fast and the Furious. It's not San Andreas saving the world from all sorts of chaotic earthquakes. It's not Skyscraper rescuing families and burning buildings and stuff like that. This was The Rock in his truest form, and it shows what a family man the guy really is. And I think his appeal as a comedic actor really does suit him for this role. And again, I play the same thing because of the fact Robin Williams was just so successful with it. I see parallels in their careers just with this. Taking a chance and stepping outside the norm is what I think The Rock does in this film. And Maui is a no-brainer for his best role and his most demanding role, just because of the fact he sings, he does all sorts of things that The Rock normally doesn't do in his films.
Good closing. Jessica, your closing statement.
When you see The Rock on screen, you think the man just screams action hero. But to be able to take that action hero face and turn it back into a most evil, cold-hearted son of a bitch that he is as Sarge in Doom, takes a level of commitment that I don't really see from him anymore. I'm kind of a classic in that way, but I'd like to see him go back to actually being not the savior of humanity and actually kind of just being a douche. And that's why I think that Sarge is probably his best shot.
All right. Good closing. Even though we could hear Russell in there a little bit, but not a big deal.
I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to entertain my daughter.
You're good. No big deal. We all understand. That's why I gave her, a little bit more. So, Nico, finish it out. Give us your closing statement on why this is the best role for The Rock.
Again, I feel like I have to hammer that Dr. Smolder Bravestone, Spencer Gilpin, is basically Dwayne Johnson playing two roles in one. He is playing a nerdy person, a nerdy child, playing an interpretation of himself. He gets to be meta with this role in that he gets to show what he thinks someone thinks he acts like, which is a very unique portrayal of this character. And at the same time, he gets to go back to he gets to play a nerdy child, which I don't think he has ever done, even in like his actual real life. Like he was built like a truck when he was in high school, in college. Like he's never been that much of a nerd, and we get to see what he thinks a nerd acts like and how they interact with other people in the world. And we get to see Dwayne Johnson test his chops trying to play two characters at once, and he pulls it off really well.
All right. What a good first round out there, everybody. Good battle. It kind of went not the way I thought it was, but with Russell and Nico, they're pretty overpowering sometimes in their delivery, so Jessica kind of got lost in the background. So make sure the next round you kind of insert yourself into the main fold. I think you guys all picked good choices. Jessica, you went a little bit of left field, but it's actually pretty good if you think about his role. It is his old school WWE. It is the bad guy, and you're right, he does scream action hero. I think Nico had a pretty hit the nail on the head that it is pretty much two characters, and that's why I wanted to kind of get away from that's just The Rock, because it's just about the role. But he was playing two characters, so I thought that was a very good point that you brought up, and that you kind of hit Russell with Maui is kind of The Rock in cartoon form. But I also liked Russell's point that it's the farthest step in a good movie that he's done out of his comfort zone. So it was a really tough decision, but when I had to break it down, just basically I think Nico came out swinging in this first round. Kind of hit both pretty strong. No one really attacked Doom as much, but I think it was a lot of defending of their characters at the end, and Nico was able to hit them and then things. So the first point I'm giving to Nico.
Oh my God, thank you. I've never seen Doom, by the way. I've never seen Doom, so I had to really fight on that one.
When I was younger, it was good. It was just, it doesn't hold up to me, but I think he's a very good part of that movie. So your next question. What is the best animated film featuring monsters as the main characters? And we're going to start with Jessica on this one.
Okay, so for the best animated film featuring monsters, I thought of When We Watch Monster Movies, and it's pretty well only that's primarily during the Halloween season. And there is no Halloween season without the Pumpkin King, and that is why I chose for mine 1993's Nightmare Before Christmas.
All right. And now this has turned into a fatal four-way. Nico, you're next.
Okay, so for this one, I went with Monsters versus Aliens. Hello, child. And
say hi, Ella.
What I like about this film is that it makes you question, like, who is the monster? Is it the actual monsters, or is it the humans and they're in reference to the monsters? Because, like, we get this story from the perspective of Susan, played by Reese Witherspoon, and she's just like this normal girl who's about to have her wedding, and then she gets hit with, like, this meteor that just makes her grow to super giant size, and she's afraid of herself at first, being in this new size, and then she takes advantage of this gift that's been given to her, and it becomes like she develops a sense of empowerment that she didn't have before, and she realizes who her actual friends are. It's these monsters who will love her no matter what, as opposed to, like, her fiance who ditched her because she grew, and he's like, I don't want you anymore. So, like, it makes you think, again, who is the actual monster here? The monsters or the humans?
Oh, again, two good choices off the bat. Russell, since you've decided to disband your tag team, you get to go now.
Honestly, I think one of the best animated monster films comes from Pixar. I know it's beating a dead horse, but 2001's Monsters, Inc., I think it encompasses everything. It has so many life lessons in the film on top of just being a good family film that everybody can watch, as opposed to Nightmare Before Christmas is just oriented more towards the Halloween season. This is something you can watch all 12 months of the year. And on top of it, kids are going to want to watch Monsters, Inc. more than Monsters vs. Aliens. I just think the movie has such good-hearted spirit in the film, and it just has such good life lessons for children and for adults. And I think it's important, and I think it's a no-brainer that Monsters, Inc. is the best animated monster film.
All right. No one's done their extension, so you have 5 minutes. Battle it out.
Okay, so I just want to point out first that my movie is the only one that actually got an animated series to follow it. Monsters vs. Aliens was turned into a cartoon on Nickelodeon. Monsters, Inc. cannot say the same thing. Neither can the Nightmare Before Christmas.
It was busy making too much money at the box office. It's Monsters vs. Aliens is completely forgotten. Nobody even knows the movie came out. Monsters, Inc. is still in the repertoire of Pixar films and top 10 Pixar films of all time. Obviously, it was good enough to spawn a sequel that made money. The first one made $562 million grossing. How much did Monsters vs. Aliens make? Not that much.
I can look that up.
Go ahead and look it up. It's not even going to be anywhere near it.
All right, Russell was saying earlier that Monsters, Inc. has the best message for kids.
Absolutely.
All right.
It plays on, okay, the whole idea is it's a fun spin on seeing how kids are not to be, it was a fun spin basically to see basically kids being scared of monsters, but monsters scared of kids. It plays on those tropes that there's monsters underneath the bed and stuff like that. It was fun that Monsters Inc. kind of like made fun of it. That's the whole idea of it. It was God. What?
If you're portraying Monsters Inc. as a kids movie, then I feel like I should point out that the theme the theme that they're trying to get across is more geared towards adults, and that's that corporations they can become corrupt and they can do bad things as a result of that corruption. And
so we don't have a message about friendship with Mike and Sully in it. We pretty much have a basically not judging characters because not judging others based on what you heard about them. Basically being like monsters are bad. All monsters aren't bad. We see in the film that monsters are good. It's a whole life lesson, I think, in the film, and I think that's why it's so important.
I feel like my film portrays that more, whereas your film focuses more on attitudes, like positivity over negativity. Hence, the laughs are more powerful than screams motif.
But that's why it's more successful. Nobody knows about Monsters vs. Aliens. I could ask somebody off the street, do you guys know Monsters Inc. or Monsters vs. Aliens? They're going to say Monsters Inc. I don't know. To me, when I watch it with my daughter loves this film, and I see her, the way she watches this film, Monsters vs. Aliens, I don't even think she would look at it the same way. She wouldn't understand it. She has fun because she relates to some of these characters. She gets scared of the dark. She gets scared of monsters in her bed and stuff like that. And it's fun to see, like, that they actually they poke fun of it, and that's why it's so successful, is because they're not afraid to take chances to do that, but also have important friendship, no judgment type of messages in the film, honey.
Okay, going back to my say what you want. Say what you want. Just say what you want, because we're not letting you talk.
I think that The Nightmare Before Christmas actually plays better for children and adults. I actually did do some slight surveying before we settled down to do this by asking a 7-year-old what her favorite monster movie was. And she actually did say The Nightmare Before Christmas. She didn't even remember Monsters, Inc. at 7.
Probably because you've watched it more. Obviously, she's going to gravitate towards the things that you watch more. I mean,
one of these we own, and it's actually not The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I don't know how she managed to get a hold of that. Okay, but also in The Nightmare Before Christmas, you do have the message of Jack trying to steal Christmas from Christmas Town just out of pure jealousy.
But that's something kids aren't going to understand at that age.
And at the end, he's learning that acting out of jealousy is a really bad thing to do, and ends up ruining Christmas for everybody.
But the thing is, that's going to go over somebody's head that's 3 or 4. I mean, younger kids, if they're going to gear that movie towards a younger audience, that stuff's going to go over their head.
And also, isn't that kind of too scary of a movie for a child that is 3 or 4 to actually see? And getting back to how you mentioned,
I don't know where these are supposed to be for children. I'm sorry.
No. She's good. She's absolutely good. She's making a valid argument. I personally, anything that Marilyn Manson would associate, just wouldn't have my 3-year-old daughter watching or 4-year-old daughter watching. I mean, I have nothing against the film. The film's a classic. But on the tropes of overall for children, I think the best animated film has to be Monsters, Inc. Like I said, I'm beating a dead horse, but I just think all the messages that the film delivers is something that's powerful and it can be used in daily life.
And for the record, you mentioned box office for my film, and I'm looking at it now, and it is the 5th highest grossing IMAX debut.
How much did it make?
It made... Oh, wait. I'm trying to see the overall box office, so where is it? Damn it, numbers.
But anyway, what I'm saying is I have nothing against Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's a great film, but I just think in the context of this, it's just not.
All right. Okay. So there was a lot of fact-checking and a lot of, like, stumbling through. So please give me everything you got in your closing to make me realize why this is the best animated featuring monsters. And we're going to start with Jessica.
The Nightmare Before Christmas plays the best to children and adults. An animated film doesn't always have to play to a small, tiny child. It can have a much broader appeal than just children under 5. Monsters vs. Aliens is completely forgettable, and Monsters, Inc. is actually kind of one of the worst Pixar films, actually, in my opinion.
Nico,
and unlike the other 2 of these films, I actually have the only one that's not a computer generated. Everything looks kind of the same. It's the most different out of all 3.
All right. Fair enough. Nico, you're up.
Again, I got to go back to the message. This is a film that encourages self-empowerment and makes you really question, like, who are your true friends? Don't judge a book by its cover, because, like, the people that you might have been afraid of beforehand, they can be the people you never expected to have your back, and they will have your back. And humans, we suck. We suck as a species, and this film hammers that in. That because again, Susan, the main character, she used to be a human, then she became a 50-foot tall monster, and now she's having to ask those questions that we will all have to answer at some point in our own lives. Who are our true friends? And if I believe in myself, I can do anything. Those are important messages for people to have as they get older.
All right. And Russell.
Just ringing in everything Nico says my film does. Friendship, we see Mike and Sully pretty much, even though they are clearly different, ultimately gathering a good friendship. So difference is good. Not just because somebody's different, you can't be friends with them. So that friendship message, that rings true. So that's the same thing he's talking about. No judgment. Just like how obviously you're not judging in the movie Monsters, Aliens. You're not judging A Nightmare Before Christmas. You're not judging because others are based on what you heard about them, just like monsters. You've heard they're bad, they're not good. But monsters learn that kids aren't all that scary after all, so that they can peacefully coexist. It's a message about being friendly with one another, not judging one another just because you're different or you may look different. And I think that's important. And on the fact that it was such a great success. And on top of it, it garnered Randy Newman his first Oscar win, which he's such a great musician. I was glad to see him get nominated and win the Academy Award for the film. But overall, the movie just took risks. It pays off. And the messages it makes kids is something that's very important.
All right. What a round. Okay. So, no offense to everybody that competed in this round, but this round was kind of like buying a UFC pay-per-view to watch a main title fight, and the guy walks out and swings one punch and knocks both people, like the person, straight down in 8 seconds. I wasted $60 for that.
Let me guess, Monsters Inc. won.
It goes to Russell because not only this is totally off my bias. I love Monsters Inc. I don't think it's one of the worst Pixar. I think it's one of the top. But for him to come out and just insert an opening statement and then both people, one to pause and the other to say, well, I can look, it was everybody fighting from behind there. I just think that he had such a strong opening that you guys, it was hard. It was a backtrack the entire round. So I give that point to Russell. So we're going to go on to a different question. Okay. So what is the best film to deal with social issues? This could have went anywhere, and y'all pretty much stayed in the same wheelhouse. So we're going to start with Nico and go around.
So our movies are in the same wheelhouse, but I feel like I might have the most different take out of all of them. My movie of choice is Chasing Amy. And while one person's film might tackle things from like the inside the closet perspective and one person might tackle things from the outside the closet perspective, I feel like Chasing Amy flips both of those perspectives on its head. Like, this is a movie that tackles the struggles, the internal struggles of one's identity in itself. Most notably, this movie tackles the complications of human sexual attraction to an entire group versus human sexual attraction to a singular individual, and how one can completely change the way you think about the other in relation to the other. And we'll get to more of that in the latter part of this round.
All right. Russell, why does your movie beat the other two?
I'm just going to keep it short and simple. I love this movie, Brokeback Mountain. I think it's a cinematic masterpiece. To me, I just think it strikes on all cylinders because it plays on not only the fact of love, but almost like forbidden love, because it's at the time they can't really express and show their love except when they go to Brokeback, just because of the fact that it's just so looked down upon against. And there's a scene where I believe it's a young Eanes Delmar. His father shows him basically what had happened to a homosexual from the town. It was beaten badly to death. And I think that just resonates so strong. And this movie is just so powerful. I just want to save the arguments for the sake of the arguments. But I think this here, for me, is the best film that deals with social issues because it's just so powerful of a film.
All right. And last but not least, Jessica, what's your opening statement?
Okay, I kind of took the question as which film best best illustrates people dealing with social issues. And I'm going to have to say that one is probably 2008's Milk, where you see this about middle age. He starts out about 40. This middle-aged man going from in the closet cruising for gay men in the New York City subway to moving to California and pretty well starting a movement to be able to not only come out of the closet to be themselves, but to be able to actually live in the outside world without fear. And as much as I love a couple of these other choices, I think this best illustrates how people would actually start dealing with their situation.
All right. Make sure you get your points out. Make sure you show no mercy. 5 minutes starts now.
I just feel that... Okay, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Chasing Amy, I think we can probably already put out of the consideration right now, because there's not even... All this movie does is erase the idea of a person actually being able to be bisexual.
Yeah. It's more Ben Affleck going after...
that as an identity.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Like, I feel like it explores more the idea of sexual fluidity. Like, think about it this way. Chasing Amy, as I said, it flips both the struggles of being in the closet and being outside the closet on its head. It puts the focus on Alyssa, who experimented at some point in her youth, and she, for the most part of her life after that, considers herself as an out-of-the-closet lesbian. And then she meets Holden. She meets somebody who she repeatedly tells, I can't be with you. And then in a moment of passion, she realizes that she's been lying to herself about how she feels. And she realizes that her sexual identity is a lot more fluid than she originally thought. And it actually makes her uneasy. Like, if you think about it, she actually puts herself back in the closet in a way as she gets further into this relationship with Holden. She's afraid to use like male pronouns against her lesbian friends. And it really makes you think about the way we view sexuality as a whole. I feel like this movie is a lot more woke than your guys are, despite having been made the earliest out of all three.
No, I'm gonna stop you right there, just because of the fact that I think we have a relationship between Jake Gyllenhaal, Heath Ledger's character, where they're living a lie. They're basically deceiving their wives. They're kind of like confusing their parents. They have kids, but this is just that cookie cutter world. They want to look like everybody else, when deep down inside they're not. And this is a story of forbidden love. If it wasn't for the fact that homosexuality was looked upon with hate and such, intolerance, they would have been together and it would have been a happy ending. But we see that due to the circumstances of the 60s, men falling in love with other men just was not tolerated. And I think that this film puts you in the driver's seat right at the beginning of the film. It drives itself with passion. It drives itself with a musical score. It drives itself with just the heartbreaking scenes in this film where these two characters love each other so much that they can't end up with one another. And it's heartbreaking. And this is why I think that this film is such an important film to deal with social issues, not just because Ben Affleck's trying to convert Joey Lauren Adams' character to straight. It has nothing to do with that. This here puts you in the driver's seat. It makes you feel what homosexuals were going through at that time. And that's why it's such a powerful film for me.
And then you have the other side of that coin, which is my film, which historically is taking place nearly about the same time as the latter half of Brokeback Mountain, which everybody considers to be the saddest parts of the film. And you have this man who is basically fighting for their rights to not be dicks stepping around on their wives, and actually be able to have them go somewhere and actually be together and be themselves and actually be able to be in love.
It's almost, they play hand in hand with each other.
You have yours is a wider. Has Christians in today's times too, because one of the main points in this film is Harvey Milk going through California trying to fight against a statewide ballot initiative that says that they can kick out all of the gay teachers from schools just for the idea of being gay, which we still have to fight in close to half of the states in America. And I'll have to do some quick Googling here to make sure whether or not Pennsylvania is one of those, because I know for a fact Kansas is. For God's sake, we have Westboro Baptist Church here. I'm tired of dealing with those fucks.
Okay,
the thing about it is California, obviously, had more, I want to say, Harvey had more resources that I think, obviously in the Midwest and like Wyoming, where it's farm country. I don't think Eanes and Jack Twist in the film really knew how to go about that. And I think that's why the movie is so powerful, because of the fact that they didn't know how to do the forbidden love. That's why they went to Brokeback, to try to escape society. They didn't know how to do that whole entire thing, to petition and do the things that Harvey Milk did for homosexuality. To me, I still think if you're going to go more personal, not grander scale of things, more personal, if you can relate more with characters, I believe it is Brokeback Mountain. You go ahead, Nico. You're good.
Okay. When I hear people talk about Brokeback Mountain, I never hear them talk about the movie itself. I just hear them making jokes about the actual title and making puns based off of the title. And Milk, I watched it today in preparation for this match, and there are like, for a movie that's kind of about equality, there are only two women in this entire film. One of them is just only portrayed in the form of old footage from the past. The other one doesn't show up until like 45 minutes into the actual film, and we never really see her interact with anybody.
Okay. Final closing statements. Get everything you need out to make it, because this one is very tight between everybody, so it's up for grabs. And Russell, you'll lead it off.
Yeah, 2005 saw Crash beating Brokeback Mountain for Best Picture, which it shouldn't have. This movie clearly was the best. The Academy saw it. They gave Ang Lee a Best Director Academy Award because of this film. We just see the Eanes and Jack relationship in the movie, just realizing that they're living a lie. They're married. Michelle Williams are married to Anne Hathaway. They're living these separate lives, and we see inside how it's killing them, that they can't be together because of the 60s, because of the intolerance of homosexuality across the United States, across the world. And we basically see a friendship that spawns 20 years, deceiving wives, bewildering their parents, confusing their children. And pretty much the scene where they first make love is so powerful, just because they're trying to fend off what they know is wrong, but deep in their hearts they believe is right. That heartbreaking scene at the end when Jack visits, when Eanes visits Jack's home, and he clenches that shirt and he says, I swear, Jack, or whatever. That movie is just so powerful. It puts you in the driver's side. And to me, this movie is important because of the whole entire ensemble of acting in this film made this movie a masterpiece. And I love this film to death. And that's why.
All right. I should have started with Nico, but I messed that up. But it's okay. Jessica, you're next. Let's go in that order.
Okay. Milk is the only one of these films where people are actually fighting to be who they actually are, and instead of either disregarding that they could like both at the same time, that it would have to be one or the other, or the fact that these feelings are even real. And to counter Russell's point there about not knowing anything from Minnesota, actually in Milk there is a plot point where he is getting called by this young boy in a wheelchair from Minnesota, concerned about his own safety because his parents are about to ship him off to a damn camp that will make him straight. And he thinks he's actually dead until after the big vote towards the end of the film, where he actually does get another phone call back from Paul, who has finally escaped his situation, is now living with some of Harvey's friends in Los Angeles, and is being his one true fabulous self. This movie is about being who you are, unabashedly, unashamed, and if you're going to talk about social issues, it's got to be about being true to who you are at 100% of the time, all of the time, and Milk is the only one of these films that actually does that.
Whew. All right. Nico, you're up.
Okay, first off, I just want to point out that my film is the only one out of all three in which nobody dies, so everyone lives to the end. Secondly, Russell's film is about hiding who you are. Jess's film is about being who you are. My film is about asking who you are. Like, my film has LGBTQ characters from both male and female. It had, like, there's a black character who he lives a double life in that he is in the closet with outsiders, and he fits the typical angry black guy stereotype. And then when he's with people he's close to, he fits the fabulous stereotype. So it makes you wonder, like, who is he living his life for? Himself, or for as what society wants him to be? Like, this movie makes you ask questions about who am I living life for, myself or somebody else? And it makes you question like it makes you question your sexual identity. Here, I had a better closing argument than this, and like, it's like, are you letting the opinions of others dictate how you live your own life? And this film makes you ask these questions in that Alyssa, she's afraid. Damn it! I stumbled. I lose.
Okay.
I lose.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to go that way. But, okay, so you guys kind of went down the same track with these choices, and I actually really enjoy all three of these movies. So when it came down to it, it's kind of how I read the question with is social, what has the best thing with social issues.
Because you have it such wide,
Right, social issues. So I have to take out Nico because not for the closing, but as soon as the round started, Russell and Jessica jumped on like hyenas and took you out. Yeah, your mother did that to you. I'm sorry. But there is a fraction of this game that doesn't sometimes come into play, but it came into play during this question because I think Milk and Brokeback were going neck and neck, but the passion that Jessica showed on it kind of put it over the edge because I think Brokeback is the better movie, but I think the passion, how Jessica swayed me, I'm going to give Jessica the point on this one. All right. This is going to be a little bit longer opening because I want you guys to actually pitch the movie out well. So which Marvel character who has yet to appear or been announced would you like to see in an MCU? And pitch the actor and how they will be introduced. We are going to, I messed up the order, but we're actually going to start with Russell because he was, so.
That's fine.
Russell, start it.
For MCU, I went with Doctor Doom, even though he was in the Fantastic Four. That was under Fox. It wasn't under Marvel, so I think that's why that counts.
Yes,
Doctor Doom is just so iconic, and the fact that they've been constantly trying to get the Fantastic Four franchise back on the map. We had those two abominations with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans, and on top of it, Josh Trank's Tank. Second film, or the third film, I should say, with such great character actors, too, with like Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan. Anyway, I chose Dr. Doom, and I have him played by the one, the only Christoph Waltz. The guy's an excellent actor. He has 2 Academy Awards to his name because of this how versatile of an actor he is. I have him being Victor Von Doom in the film because of the fact that Victor's character, very egotistical and a maniacal character who fits the bill other than Christoph Waltz. If you've seen Inglourious Basterds, you've seen Django Unchained. He breathes and lives egotistical and maniacal. So I think he's perfect for the film. He plays the character like that in both films, or should I say Django and Inglourious Basterds, sorry. But Victor, he's always basically seeing his achievements outdone by Reed Richards. And I can see that type of Christoph Waltz character pretty much kind of like saying, you know what, I'm going to one-up you. So basically, let me see, I have pretty much the nuance and humor that Waltz could bring to the Doctor Doom could help humanize the comic book villain, which I think is important because most of these villains don't feel very humanistic. Like Thanos is not very humanistic. I mean, you see it's big CGI and stuff like that. This, I think Christoph Waltz could bring more humanistic to the villain. And just from the fact that Waltz is from Germany and Austria, so Doom's from a fictional European country. So I think even just because of that, he would nail it out too. How to introduce the character, basically have it. Trank's film was there's a couple different things that could have went better with the film, obviously, but I don't think it was completely, awful film. There was some of it, yes. Their powers and stuff like that, how they came to go to the asteroid and stuff like that and get it, yeah, that kind of sucks. But I would have it set up differently. I would basically introduce Christoph Waltz's character near the tail end of the film, leave the audience wanting more, pretty much, because of the fact that have him maybe in the back half of the film, back quarter of the film, just because you want to get people, you want to get their mouths wet, so to speak. You want to get them curious about where you're going with this. And I feel that the first Fantastic Four, the first 2, didn't do that well. Josh Trank's one didn't do that well. And I think if you would set that up and introduce him in 3/4 of the film and have not like where they destroy him, but pretty much where they set up to have a sequel, I think that would be the best way about that. That's why I chose Dr. Doom, Christoph Waltz, no brainer.
just a question. You're pitching. You're saying he's introduced in
Three-quarters
another,
of the
in a Fantastic Four.
In a Fantastic Four film, yes.
So when they get the rights, you would have him be the villain in the.
That's what.
Four.
Yes, that's what I would.
Okay.
Do. Or you could swing it. You could either swing it either way. You could have that, or you could have a standalone movie where you get backstory about Doctor Doom and kind of how he became as powerful as he is. I mean, you could go either way with it. I just did it just because of the Fantastic Four franchise is so iconic. I don't think people would just rush to go see a Doctor Doom movie by itself. They want that Fantastic Four. They want it done right, and I think basically introducing the characters, giving them some more backstory, and then peppering in where they have to come to, fruition. They have to all come together to destroy Doctor Doom at the end. Just the same type of tropes that any comic book movie uses, but have it to where you introduce the character of Victor Von Doom later on, like I'd say 3/4 into the film. That way you don't get to see all of it, but you're left wondering why. You're left wanting more, and that's why I would do it that way.
Fair enough. All right, Jessica, it's your pitch. Go ahead.
Alrighty. With the advent of both Captain Marvel and with how we see the rest of the universe going, we're seeing a little bit more of a cosmic bent to the Marvel Cinematic Universe coming up. And with a certain swole-ass Australian getting towards the end of his contract as the God of Thunder Thor, I thought this would be a perfect time to bring in one of the main people who has picked up the mantle of Thor in the comic book series, and that is Beta Ray Bill. And I want to see him get played by an actor who has here recently gotten incredibly immersed into the realm of Norse literature due to his starring role in the TV show Vikings, and that's going to be Alexander Ludwig. And pretty much how I see this playing out is basically kind of similar to the Secret Invasion storyline when, if I remember here really quickly, that Bill has become a prisoner of the Skrulls, and Thor believes that Beta Ray Bill is the real deal, but the 20 Asgardians that are left after Thanos don't think that he's a Skrull agent in disguise. But using Stormbreaker, you can see through that and see that this Beta Ray Bill is the real Bill, and that is your lead into having Bill in as the new Thor, and Chris Hemsworth can make his dignified exit from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right. I had to look up that, but it's pretty sweet looking. So I could see that definitely working. So, Nico, you're up.
All right. Let me set the scene for you. The title of the film is Captain America Corpse, spelled Corps, meaning multiple Captain Americas. And let me set the scene for you even further. Helmut Zemo survives Thanos' snap and escapes prison. He uses the government databases to search for two things: someone vulnerable that he can mold into helping him accomplish his goals, and the original hypnotic ring of Dr. Johann Fenhoff, who fans will remember from the Agent Carter TV show. Fast forward sometime after the events of Avengers 4, Steve Rogers is dead, Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and Sharon Carter have all taken up the mantle of Captain America, hence the title Captain America Corps. The movie then picks up at a bar in Tennessee, and a young runaway from New Jersey by the name of Melissa Gold, played by Elizabeth Gillies, steps up on stage for open mic night. She's left home because she was a victim of abuse by her unsupportive drunken parents, and she lays it all out there on stage in the form of the blues, and she gets a standing ovation. Zemo is at that same bar, and he's wearing the lost ring of Dr. Fenhoff. He goes up to the bar manager, begins talking into his ear and stroking the ring, which is how the hypnotic effect works. And so he asks the bar manager, take Melissa over there into your office and then do my bidding. And he takes Melissa into the office and then just punches her right in the throat, crushing her larynx. And before she blacks out, the last thing she sees is Zemo. She then wakes up sometime later in a bright, white, empty hospital room with two-way mirror glass. She gets up from the hospital bed. She sees the scar on her neck, and she screams. And as she screams, every bit of glass in that room just shatters. Then Zemo pops into the room, and she asks, "Who are you? What happened? What did you do to me?" And Zemo simply replies, "I'm a friend. I saved you. And I made it so that you never need saving again." And he convinces her to join him, and she does join him under the persona of Screaming Mimi. And she adopts like a costume that's in the style of the rock band Kiss, which fits her musician persona. Meanwhile, Zemo, he puts on the purple cap that we know him for, and they begin doing like vigilante style work. But the thing is, Zemo is using the ring of the Doctor to hypnotize people into doing crimes so he and Melissa can stop this crime. The Captain America Corps get wind of this. They see footage and they establish a pattern. And so they find Zemo at his base of operations, and they find Melissa there with him at that base of operations. And, they put up a fight. And long story short, the battle ends in the same way that Zemo was able to drive the wedge between the Avengers in Civil War. They used security footage from Zemo hypnotizing that bar manager with the ring. They show it to Melissa, and she's like, "You son of a bitch. You've been messing with me all this time." And she just screams at the top of her lungs, and he gets blasted right into the wall, getting knocked unconscious. And she says, "Destroy this ring. Don't let it hurt anyone else." And so now she's we're at the end of the film. She's in a position where she's friendless. And, Bucky goes up to her and says, "Hey, listen, I've been a victim of abuse and mind control myself. I'll be your friend. And we know someone who can take care of you while you get back on your feet." They send her over to Hawkeye's farm to live out her days until she's ready to get back into the line of duty as a superhero. And we get to an end credit scene where she's singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." And Hawkeye walks out, says, "Hey, Songbird, dinner's ready." And then the film ends with her saying, "Songbird, I like that." And that's my pitch.
Who plays your character in like 5 seconds? That's it.
Elizabeth Gillies from Victorious on Nickelodeon and Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll on FX.
Okay. All right. That was a longer pitch, but it was still good.
I put my heart and soul into that. I needed to read it. I get it.
You're fine. 5 minutes. Battle it out now.
Well, you lost me at Zemo. I don't know if we drink this or is this an actual superhero? Okay, my thing is Doctor Doom's more iconic. He's more well-known in the Marvel Universe, period. Nobody knows who Zemo the Drink is or whoever the other one is. Fantastic Four is a celebrated franchise. A lot more people you're going to put more asses in seats by putting a movie with Doctor Doom and done properly with a Fantastic Four scope of things, okay? And I think Christoph Waltz is going to do that. And to me, your plot just way too elaborate, way too much going on, this and that.
I'm the only one who had an actual pitch. You did not have a pitch. You had a summary of what a pitch could be. I had an actual pitch.
I'm not getting this movie made tomorrow, okay? We're actually a general synopsis of the film. I don't need he takes a couple breaths in this scene, looks over to the left, says, "Hey, how are you?" Sits back down, breathes a couple times, turns the television on, goes to sleep, drinks a beer, wakes up next morning. I mean, it's so much. You lost me at it. There's way too much going on.
I have no idea what time period you're setting Doctor Doom in. I have no idea what you actually.
The vaguer, the better. Just because of that, they can do whatever they want with it. I'm making a general synopsis. I'm not making.
Yes, but that was not what was asked of you. You were asked to provide a pitch. I provided.
I gave a pitch. You want an actor. You got a villain. That's it. That's your pitch. I gave a pitch. You introduce him into the film with the Fantastic Four, not frame by frame what he does every day. Period. That's what I think.
I presented a pitch in which you introduced the character of Screaming Mimi. She's brought in with the aid of Helmut Zemo, which we remember from Captain America Civil War, and she defeats him in the same way he defeated the Avengers in Civil War. So we get that little bit of poetry.
I'm not going to remember these side characters, man. I'm not going to remember these side characters. Doctor Doom's more, I just think, more well-known, more recognizable. And
and he's well-known because he had 3 failed movies. He had 3 failed movies beforehand.
So did Spider-Man. So did Spider-Man. Now what? Tom Holland. Now what?
Yeah, but
5 Spider-Mans. I'll give it to you. 5. 3 Raimi and the 2 Amazing Spider-Mans.
Yeah, but those movies were still good.
Still successful, but
no one really
okay.
talks about the Fantastic Four in a positive light.
Okay.
People still talk about Spider-Man in a positive light.
You can still put the franchise back on the map. Spider-Man did it. They did 3 movies that were with Tobey Maguire. The first 2 were good. Third one was an abomination. First Amazing Spider-Man was decent. Second one sucked with Andrew Garfield. They redid it. The movie's fantastic. Tom Holland is the next coming of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And he's obviously in Avengers Infinity War, and he's making movies afterwards. So obviously it is successful enough to reboot a franchise. So that point there is just dead.
And you say Melissa Gold is a side character. She is a big part of the Thunderbolt storyline. She is a big part of the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation. Like, you can put her in a lot of you can put her in a lot of these things.
Okay,
I'm not.
Nico,
Yeah.
First off, for God's sake, it's Captain America Corps, like 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the Marine Corps corps. What the hell? It's not a dead body. Second of all, how the hell does your film actually even fit into even what we conceive of the MCU being in the not-so-distant future? Because I see no part in this where they even want to touch Zemo again. Because out of all the forgettable
then why
things
did they keep him alive?
Captain America Civil War,
why did they keep him?
Forgettable.
Why did they keep him alive? And also, he's the only
Because
villain
he's so
that actually
forgettable they forgot to kill him.
and he's the only villain that actually succeeded in his plan. He took the Avengers apart, and that's what makes the fact that he is being defeated by the strategy that he used to tear the Avengers apart so cool and poetic. Like, he took this person under his wing, and now she turns on him in the same way he was able to drive the Avengers apart.
I'd rather see an Agent Coulson movie.
Okay, now back to Russell's
I'd rather see
thing.
an Agent Coulson.
Oh, what? So he can die for the 3rd time?
Okay, let's hear it.
We're completely entranced about the Fox Disney merger so that we can get the X-Men into the MCU. Nobody has given a shit about the Fantastic Four in years now. Thank you, Josh Trank. We have gotten 3 completely forgettable films all about the Fantastic Four. Nobody really gives a shit about the Fantastic Four in films anymore. Okay. Let them sit on the shelves, let them sit in comic books and do their own thing until people actually forget that these shit-ass movies exist. Because you may have brought up the 5 preceding Spider-Man films. At least 3 out of those 5 are okay. There is not a single Fantastic Four film in previous history that's actually even been halfway worth a shit.
If
nobody gives a damn about Doctor Doom anymore.
If you put an MCU director, you get a big director in there. I guarantee you. I guarantee you that they will.
But we're talking about
time.
Putting a
time. Okay, so listen, guys. There was a lot of throw down in that round. I appreciate it. It's probably the most heated debate we've had. So, please, in your closing arguments, mention why your movie would be the best to introduce to the MCU, while why the other 2 would not be. Because it's pretty close right now, and I need it delivered. Okay, we're going to start with Jessica. All right. Yes, Jessica. We're going to go with Jessica.
All right.
No, we'll start with Russell. Sorry. Jessica starts the next round. We're okay. Good.
I mean, I'm just going to go by the fact that the 2 characters that they pitched out are just not really well-known characters. I think the fact that, they've had unsuccessful movies in the franchise. What franchise hasn't? You can always overcome that. You can rise above that. And I think that if properly done, Fantastic Four, incorporating a Dr. Doom into it, having Christoph Waltz lead because he's a recognizable actor, unlike the other characters that they mentioned, nothing to take away from them. They're no-name actors. Nobody knows who they are. To me, I think that the MCU is huge now. It's bigger than it was when Fantastic Four first started this thing, and I think that's why a lot of that has to do with that. Josh Trank was under pressures of Fox Studio and stuff like that, was rushed, made a shit product. I think if you put the time and effort into it, you put a lead guy in like Christoph Waltz, who has that maniacal, egotistical type attitude. He's a perfect Dr. Doom, and I think if they get the good cast of Fantastic Four around him, I think it's a perfect movie. And I really think the Fantastic Four would jumpstart it. And in a counter argument, Jess, they're still talking about it. They're still talking about how bad Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. People are still talking about it, meaning there's still fans out there. there's a lot more fans out there than you think. So that's why I think that Doctor Doom, obviously, he's more well known than the other two villains. I think they need somebody like that, not like a side character or somebody who's not well known as the other two characters mentioned. And on top of it, I just think the way to drive that is by a name brand actor. Christoph Waltz is a name brand actor. He's a great actor, and I think he really would embody the persona of Doctor Doom. So that's why I'm going Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four. Final answer.
Jessica, your turn starts now.
Okay, first off, we can completely disregard Nico's argument. It sounded like an argument that I've literally gotten into with my child. I could not make sense of it whatsoever, nor even remember the basic plot of what he tried to pitch me. My film bringing in Beta Ray Bill into the universe to wield the new axe hammer thing that they made Stormbreaker into to become the new Thor actually fits into the current direction that the MCU is heading into with a more cosmic bent. And I specifically chose Alexander Ludwig because in the comics they keep referring to each other as brothers, and if you're not going to cast a Hemsworth as somebody who's supposed to be Thor's brother, then at least get the look right. He's at least going to be able to stand up to the behemoth that is Chris Hemsworth. And furthermore, to counter Russell's argument that you need a name brand actor in there, nobody knew who the fuck Chris Hemsworth was outside of Australia until Thor actually hit. My film actually fits into the current realm of the MCU. Nobody's really shat that hard on the Thor franchise, the Dark World notwithstanding. And to follow the Secret War storyline, which they're already bringing into via Captain Marvel, is kind of the perfect way to take the MCU back into that cosmic realm that they're already trying to head into.
All right. Nico, let us have it. Not that long as your pitch, but let them have it.
I'm the only one here who pitched an actual movie. Russell pitched a character with what he wanted to see happen, and that character has had 3 attempts and failed at all of them. Jess pitched what she wanted to happen for a character, but I did not hear an actual movie pitch in there. I actually brought in stuff from various aspects of the MCU, from the television and movies past, like Captain America. He is dead now, and his mantle has been passed down to 3 different people. The character of Screaming Mimi, Melissa Gold, who eventually becomes Songbird, she has been in the center of a lot of great storylines in the comics, from the Thunderbirds. The Thunderbirds, the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation, the Dark Avengers, even. And what better way to introduce her in the movie universe that they've set up here than by taking down the one guy who was able to defeat the Avengers, because that's what Baron Zemo did. You can deny it all you want, but he actually took down the Avengers. And Elizabeth Gillies, she has a gigantic following from her time on Nickelodeon and then moving into FX's Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, where she has proven that she can sing, so she can do the musical chops for this character to work as Screaming Mimi / Songbird. She's killing it on the CW with the show Dynasty right now. This is a character who might not be well known, but if you set it up for her to take down the guy who was able to split the Avengers apart, that's a big way to introduce her. And again, they didn't pitch any actual movies. I did. It may have been long, but I pitched an actual movie.
Okay, listen. I care about everyone's feelings in this round, but you all pitched movies that suck. That's just from my standpoint. I'm not saying anything that the one thing that you guys all have is with MCU attached to it, you'll get my butt in the seat. So we'll just break this down, how it went. Nico, thank you for your dedication and your work on it. I think Zemo was probably the worst choice, and they pretty much pointed that out.
I didn't say Zemo, though. I said Screaming Mimi, Songbird, Melissa Gold. And
I know. You used him in your movie. And that was why I think was that's just what they use to counter you. So I think that was a hard point against you.
But they can't. They didn't defend. They didn't fight back that he is the only person that has actually ever split the Avengers apart. They didn't defend that part.
Nico, I have not even made a ruling, but your time is up. So stop. Going into it, I thought Russell had the strongest one because of the character. But when he wanted to pitch another Fantastic Four movie, that was also a hard point thrown into him. But he also had a great rebuttal with that Spider-Man was on its last leg, and they brought it to the MCU, and we actually got a great movie. So MCU could do that as well. Jessica kind of got, again, talked over most of the time because she introduced a great character that could take actually on the mantle of what we're already seeing, but didn't give me a ton of information. So what it came down to is pretty much shot for shots where I had to go. Because, yes, I applaud Nico for his pitch. I think it was great for doing that much work. But when it came from hit to hit, I have to side with Russell on this because I think Russell had the strongest counters to everybody's points. Just the ruling it had to be. I'm sorry, it just went that way. We can talk it out and they can edit it out, but that's where I went. This is the last question. Going into it, Russell is leading 2 to Jessica's 1 to Nico's 1. So this can settle on who goes to the speed round. Kind of one of my favorite questions that we asked today, so I'm excited to see where everybody goes. And it is, what is the worst film featuring dinosaurs? And Jessica is going to lead off.
Okay. I'm going to start off with a movie that actually has been released in the last 10 years, but people have completely forgotten that it exists, except for as a vehicle to kill a person's career for quite some time. And that's going to be 2009's Land of the Lost. It was pretty much just inconsistent comedy sketches like late 2000s Saturday Night Live, after Will Ferrell had left. And to the point where there is not that many roles actually for Will Ferrell after this movie because it was so terrible that not a lot of people wanted to put him in shit anymore. And you've got special effects that are the most modern out of all of the movies that we have chosen today, but still look like they're pretty much straight out of 1997. And honestly, and even to further the point, Will Ferrell's trying to kill Matt Lauer. Maybe they should have let him.
Okay. Didn't see it go in that direction, but already. Nico, if you can follow that, please do. And start your open statement.
All right, let me recite the question as worded by Robert Parker when he asked us to give all of our entries. He wrote it, what is the worst film featuring dinosaurs? Meaning dinosaurs do not have to be the focus. I went with Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas. Let me give you a few stats on this film. It was nominated for 4 raspberries at the 21st Golden Raspberry Awards. Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actor with Stephen Baldwin, Worst Supporting Actress with Joan Collins, and Worst Remake or Sequel. It was a box office flop. Critical reception was basically negative. It has a 25% score on Rotten Tomatoes based on 72 reviews. It's terrible, and it has a dinosaur. It has Baby Dino in it. So, and basically, it doesn't really do anything different from what you've already seen The Simpsons do with dinosaurs in the cartoons or even in the first movie. It doesn't do anything interesting with dinosaurs except treat the one that you care about like a dog, like a puppy. And it's not a good way to feature dinosaurs at all.
Okay, so this will not be carried into it, but I do think it's funny that Viva Rock Vegas has a higher rating than the original, but I find that hilarious. I just looked it up to see if it was actually theatrically released because I thought it was straight to DVD.
Robert had to look that up too, and
okay.
it was allowed. It wasn't
Okay,
allowed.
yeah, it is allowed. You're good. So Russell, again, do not use the Rotten Tomato as an evidence because I will not count that in your vote. But Russell, it's your turn.
We'll go straight up box office then. I chose Jurassic Park 3. To me, it's the weakest one out of the 5 movies. It was the most underwhelming at the box office, $368 million. You had 3 out of the other 5 gross over $1 billion. This one did not attach Steven Spielberg's name to it. Joe Johnston came in, who directed Captain America, who had a prolific career afterwards. So you can't sit there and say that the movie killed anybody's career and stuff like that. It was less than 90 minutes long. The movie just wasn't that good. I felt rushed, and to me, I just think it's the weakest one of the 5 movies. So I went Jurassic Park 3.
All right. So I'm just going to ask, does anybody want to use their extension for the final time?
I think I'm good.
I should have used it at Brokeback. I left my extension. I left my extension at Brokeback. How does that sound?
Gosh, we got Matt Lauer in the extension. Okay, so I'm guessing that's a no. So you guys got 5 minutes. Battle it out, starting now.
I obviously have never seen Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. I knew they made it. I just never watched it. I like what you said about Land of the Lost. The funny thing is about it, though, to me, Land of the Lost, the funny scenes in the film involved the dinosaur with the peanut brain and stuff like that. That stuff was funny. So to me, it really didn't kill Will Ferrell's career because Danny McBride was in it too. And if you saw TV show Eastbound and Down, Will Ferrell's career kind of like blossomed in that show too. He was really hilarious in that film. But everybody has those peaks in acting. Adam Sandler's currently battling that too. I don't think Adam Sandler knows he even acts now anymore. But Will Ferrell still puts asses in seats by the name. Everybody goes through bad breaks and bad movies after bad movies. It happens. It's part of life. People just, he just wants the easy paycheck now. And unfortunately, times are different now in comedies. Kevin Hart's a victim of it too. So to me, I think Jurassic Park 3, it doesn't have Spielberg's name attached to it. It was the most underwhelming performance out of all of them. The shortest one has that stupid Allen scene with the stupid talking dinosaur, for Christ's sake. It's dumb. The movie feels rushed. I don't think it knows it's being a movie. I read somewhere that the movie was actually being written as it was being filmed, which was a complete shit show. The movie sucked, and I think it's the most forgettable one out of the 3.
So at least with your film is about dinosaurs. So they're going to do interesting stuff with dinosaurs.
That's why it's even a bigger flop because of that.
And Land of the Lost, it has dinosaurs, and it does, as Russell just said, it has funny stuff that they do with dinosaurs. They do interesting stuff with dinosaurs. You just said you haven't seen my film, and granted, why would you? The film is about Barney and Fred dating Wilma and Betty at the time. Why would you care about when they were dating? Why would you care about what it was like before they got high up in the corporate world of what do they work for? A construction company? Like, who gives a shit about that?
But the thing about it is, the higher you fall is because Jurassic Park is in the spotlight. It deals with dinosaurs. Being a bad dinosaur movie, you're going to know about it, as opposed to a Flintstones movie, as opposed to a Land of the Lost movie. If your whole entire argument is based on like a dinosaur movie, this is a dinosaur movie, and it was a completely underwhelming one. The movie just wasn't that great. It has very forgettable scenes in it. But like I said, the one stupid scene with the talking dinosaur, it ends abruptly, and the movie just doesn't know what it wants to do. And by the time right there at the island, you kill pretty much damn near all of the cast at the beginning of right there when they get onto the island. The movie just wasn't very good. It has no identity as a film.
You just said something interesting, which is that they killed the whole cast at the beginning of the film. And also the fact that it has Jurassic Park in the title is going to make it at least
because it's
better for the fans to ingest.
But it's only less than 90 minutes. When your movie pride yourself on a dinosaur movie like Jurassic Park, you had 2 Spielberg hits, then you have Joe Johnston coming in. Okay, the fall is harder than a Viva Rock Vegas bomb or a Will Ferrell bad movie. The light's right there because Jurassic Park is such an iconic series from 1993 to The Lost World to the third one. And the third one was just so disappointing. And it had a lot of people. That's why they waited forever to put Jurassic World out, because of the fact that the third one sucked and tanked so bad. And then you had the resurgence of Chris Pratt's character, obviously resurging that and making $1 billion film industry now.
The fact that your film had the spotlight, though, whereas mine did, it just shows how much of a turd my film is. It has Stephen Baldwin in it. Why would you care about a film that has Stephen Baldwin in it? And at least with Will Ferrell, his bad movies can still be considered funny depending on who you are as a person and what you find funny. Like, I could go watch that movie right now, Land of the Lost, and I'd probably laugh at least once or twice. What the hell will I laugh about in a movie that features Stephen Baldwin and nothing creative about dinosaurs?
I had vanilla ice cream William H. Macy in the film, so mine wasn't much better. You know what I mean? And he's such a great charismatic actor, and to be underwhelming like that, I really do believe that the third one is.
That makes me want to watch it more, though. As I want to see how this really good actor sucked in this movie. I want to see that. I don't want to see Stephen Baldwin.
You're asking bad dinosaur movie. I'm giving you a bad dinosaur movie. Jurassic Park's more in the spotlight than the other two, and I just think the higher you are, the harder you fall. That to me is just the premise of the argument. I think Land of the Lost had funny scenes with the dinosaur. Yes, Will Ferrell's career tanked after that, but again, Adam Sandler we're seeing Kevin Hart not be as in modern comedies now. He's playing the same thing all the time, so it happens.
All right, Mom, say what you want to say.
I could probably put on Viva Rock Vegas right now and have a small child laugh uncontrollably at it. It's built for small children who aren't going to get the wild, nonsensical jokes.
Okay. So, it's close. That's all I'll say. Your final rebuttals start at now. Jessica, you're leading off.
All right. Land of the Lost is such a bad movie because up until this point, I don't think any of us in this room had even remembered that Land of the Lost even existed. The Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas is at least an improvement upon the original, which you can't call it the worst movie featuring dinosaurs. It improves upon the original product, even if it is still shitty. And Jurassic Park 3, when you have something that's already still making nine figures, despite its fall from grace, does it really go up against a film that I'm pretty sure the last time that I looked at it was a $60 million haul in the box office in America on like a $100 million budget? Jurassic Park 3 at least made money. And was actually quite entertaining because, well, compies.
All right. Nico, let us hear why Viva Rock Vegas is actually the worst one.
Again, my film was nominated for 4 Razzies. It was a critical flop, a box office flop, and you may say that it was an improvement upon the original, but people care more about the Flintstones when they had kids and the wacky adventures that they got in as parents, as opposed to when they were dating. I don't care about Dino as a puppy. I don't care about Fred and Barney and Wilma and Betty when they were dating and before they got high up into the corporate world, if they ever got high up into the corporate world. I don't care about that. Russell's movie made money, and he just listed a bunch of stuff that I found interesting, good and bad, because people can find bad stuff good, depending on the point of view. What can you find enjoyable about a movie with Stephen Baldwin in it? There is nothing enjoyable about Stephen Baldwin. He is a turd of a human being. Again, the question is, what movie features dinosaurs the worst? And I feel like mine barely features dinosaurs in a creative way at all. Land of the Lost features dinosaurs in a creative way. Russell's movie features dinosaurs throughout the entirety of the film. Mine just has a puppy in the form of a dinosaur.
All right, Russell. Looks like a caged animal out there, so I'm going to let you out.
Okay, well, real fast, just to touch upon the Will Ferrell thing. Will Ferrell, Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2 have made great money in the box office, so he really hasn't flopped that far. The touchdown on Nico's, though, the dinosaur movie, like I said, when you're up here and you fall, it's greater than being shit and just falling down a little bit. Flintstones wasn't a box office success. Okay, yeah, granted, you said something about 16 million that Land of the Lost he was in the movie The House that made $33 million. Doesn't really matter. His career is going down anyway. Anyway, dinosaur movies. Jurassic Park 3, just because it wasn't directed by Spielberg, it was the worst one. Yes, it made money, but it still took a hit with money too. It only, I think the budget was $90 million. I'm sure they used a lot more on advertising and other things like that. With salaries and stuff like that. I just think that the movie overall was very underwhelming. To be a third movie in a franchise that just, we've seen it in The Godfather, just the third movie always seems to be the worst of them. That stupid ending where they have the commandos coming like Normandy style pretty much onto the beach and they play the military-esque theme song of Jurassic Park. That's all you need to know. The movie's shit from start to beginning. It's 90 minutes of a complete dumpster fire. And that's it.
Whew. Okay, so this is not an easy decision. I feel bad because going into it, when I read everybody's answers, like I would see like, what do I consider? And when I was a kid, Viva Rock Vegas was fantastic. And now that I'm old, gosh, is that movie terrible? Land of the Lost by far is the worst one that anybody suggested on here. I remember watching it and I think it was bad. The bad side is Jessica just didn't get a chance to talk really in the second round, so it was kind of opening and closing. I have to, on this decision, one, I know it doesn't make that big of a deal, but I had to make sure that Viva Rock Vegas was even released, and I know it's and how Nico described it, I have to give Nico the point on this one. As much as I agree that Jurassic Park 3 is terrible, I agree. I just think Nico had it was a harder thing to describe because he did use the question kind of to the advantage where it's featuring. Your guys was just Total of Dinosaurs and it was still somewhat of a watchable movie.
Semantics.
Semantics. So, which I hate really not, but it's okay. So, sorry, Jessica, you're not going forward. But again, if next time, just burst in and just start talking, and you might be able to battle these two a little bit more. So, we got each person will have. You'll start with 30 seconds and then get 15. If it goes down to the last question, you'll get 30 and then 20, then 10. So, if it gets all the way there. Again, first person to yell out the answer gets it and speaks first. So remember that. Let me just pull up the questions and we'll start. All right. First speed round question. Russell and Nico going in 2-2. So first one to 5. First one to get 3 of these wins the game. Who is the worst MCU hero?
I'll jump on this first just because.
Okay.
I never really like him in movies, so I'm gonna go Captain America, just because of the fact that to me, I just feel that he's boring out of everybody else.
Wait,
Hold on.
speed round.
Don't do your talking yet. Okay. Nico's got to decide. So hold on.
All right. I'll go with Iron Man.
Oh boy, it's down now, man. It's on.
Okay. All right. So we resume. After a complete debate on what we consider a hero, thanks, Nico, we have got Russell going to talk first. He has picked Captain America versus Nico's Iron Man. So this should be interesting. 30 seconds on the clock. Russell, start.
Captain America is just a forgettable character. When you're competing him against Iron Man, it's night and day. He can't even tie his shoe. To me, Captain America is just I'm just going to do it by the book, this and that, cookie cutter, vanilla, boring guy that he is. Iron Man's more able to take chances and not afraid what the status quo is. And he's more of a playboy philanthropist. He's a badass. And to me, he is the heart and soul of the Avengers. Like I said, Captain America, just overall, just a forgettable character. I just don't think that he's that good. And the Avengers don't really need him.
Time.
So, yeah.
Nico, 30 seconds. Starts now.
How many times has Iron Man screwed up? Like, he has screwed up so many times. He's gotten himself blown up. He's gotten an entire city blown up after it floated into the air. Like, he is people have died because of his decisions. He created Ultron. He creates the things that lead to the Avengers having to fight shit in the first place. Captain America, you never have to worry about that because he's just willing to fight the good fight. Tony Stark, he creates the things that the Avengers have to fight, and there are always bad consequences. Like, he created the situation that, yeah, okay.
Time. 15 seconds. Russell, start.
Captain America isn't human. That's the thing. He's perfect. Iron Man is. We have flaws. That's what we are as human beings. We have flaws, like just like Tony Stark, just like Iron Man. We have flaws. We're not the perfect person all the time, and Tony Stark's the prime example of that. But you can still rise above the flaws, and that's what makes you recognizable.
All right, Nico, 15 seconds starting now.
If you're a civilian, I'd rather have the guy who never screws up versus the guy who always screws up. Like he created Zemo. He's the reason why Zemo became powerful and why Cody doesn't want to watch another movie with Zemo in it. He creates all the things that Cody hates.
Sit. Nice pandering to the judge. Tough battle in this one. Two that I did not see going this way. But I'm going to side with Nico on this one. Not saying that he's the worst. I just think his arguments were better. He pretty much pointed out where he led everything falls. I think if you would have said that Iron Man tried to fix his problems and bring them together to sign the Accords, I think it might have been a different story. But on the first one, it goes Nico. So 3-2 Nico. Even though I 100% disagree. Captain America can go take a fly off a cliff as long as Robert Downey Jr. is still there. But that's just neither here nor there. This is when I can't be biased. All right, your next one. It's either or. So first one to speak. What franchise is better, James Bond or Mission Impossible?
Mission Impossible. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Okay, so you have James Bond, Nico. Russell, 30 seconds starting now.
Movies just keep getting better and better and better. You had Brian De Palma's first one in '96, then you have the new one coming out. It's getting rave reviews. The franchise is putting asses in seats at an alarming rate. The movies just keep getting better after John Woo's second one, 3, 4, and all the other ones thereafter have been better. James Bond have been been a lot of misses recently with Daniel Craig. The Pierce Brosnan ones are forgettable, and the only really iconic one is Sean Connery. So yeah, that's all.
Cool. Leaving time on the table, but that's fine. Nico, 30 seconds starting now.
The fact that there have been 25 plus films in the James Bond franchise shows you just how good it is. Like, it won't stop. There have been 4 people who have played the role. We have arguments as to who is going to play it once Daniel Craig steps away. Will it be a black guy? Will it be a woman? I don't know. But the fact that we have these conversations just shows how popular James Bond is. Whereas with Mission Impossible, all you care about is how is Tom Cruise going to kill himself this time. Like, there's nothing that really draws me to Mission Impossible other than that. It's a one-trick pony.
I think there are more than 4.
I was going to say, if you have an
15 seconds starting now.
If you're going to have an argument, know how many Bonds there were, because Lazenby's in there too. So I think there was 5 or 6 Bonds. On top of that, though, you have one Tom Cruise. That's all you need. This franchise is the real deal, and it's getting better and better. It's evolving. The movies just are getting better and better as they go. So flat out.
Time. Nico, 15 seconds. Start now. Start now.
Shit. I don't have a counterpoint. Damn it.
All right. So that's clear cut. Russell takes the point. Even though I would have agreed with your arguments because you started really strong. And showing my cards, I personally agree that Mission Impossible is probably the best spy franchise out there.
I didn't have anything else. Like, I had that opening argument, and then I was like, I don't want to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. So I just like, fine.
You're good. I understand. Speed rounds are tough. All right, so this is the next one. It's either or. Is Leonardo DiCaprio great or overrated?
Great.
Hey, Nico, you have to describe why he's overrated. It's 3-3 going into this question, so 30 seconds. Russell starts now.
You ever seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape? The way that he portrays the boy in the movie is absolutely nothing short of fantastic. The guy just keeps getting better and better with his films. The guy's passionate, unlike any other. Revenant, he ate, slept, and breathed. That Wolf of Wall Street with Scorsese was nothing but tremendous. He's just constantly getting better and better with age. He's like a fine wine. The guy is a great actor, and he is a gem to the cinema. So, yeah, Leonardo, definitely a great actor, period.
All right, 30 seconds. Nico starts now.
If he was as great as Russell says he is, he would have like 1 million Oscars by now. He basically plays the same arrogant white guy in every role he's in, and he had to get raped by a bear in order to get that one Oscar that he finally got. If he was as good as Russell says he is, he would be unstoppable. He would have all the Oscars, every Oscar ever invented ever, and instead he has to go to like these ridiculous lengths to just get noticed. And the fact that he hasn't gotten noticed yet just shows how overrated he is.
15 seconds starts now.
You can say the same thing about Spielberg. Spielberg should have a dozen Oscars, but Leonardo DiCaprio is the test of time. He plays different characters. Okay, The Revenant, completely different character, not a playboy or anything like that. Basketball Diaries, not a playboy, was an underprivileged kid. What's Eating Gilbert Grape was a kid with a mental disability. You can't sit there and say he plays the same characters.
Okay. Give me an extra 2 seconds on that one. Nico starts now.
Spielberg's overrated too, as is Leonardo DiCaprio. And again, if he were as good as you say he is, he would have all the Oscars by now. But he's not. He doesn't have all the Oscars, so he's overrated. Like he plays the same thing in every role.
Okay.
No way.
Based on arguments, pretty much Nico was kind of punching the same dead horse that if he was great, he would have a bunch of Oscars, but that pretty much just comes down to the Academy, not on his performance.
Exactly.
Because that's why we have conversations of snubs all the time. I just think his pretty much why I say this is Russell pointed out more movies that he was great in. Nico just pointed out The Revenant, that he slept with a bear, which I don't remember that part of the movie. So we must have different versions.
He got attacked by a bear.
He got attacked by one, but I don't think any of the other stuff happened.
I don't think he took that thing home.
Okay. Extension. Here we go. So the final one, if Russell wins it here. If not, we'll go to the final question. Where are we?
It's 4-3.
4-3. Yes. So, okay. Comes down to this. For Nico's fighting for his life. Russell, you're fighting for the win. All right. What is the worst performance by Keanu Reeves?
I got one. I'm gonna go with the. Yeah, I'll go with the Lake House.
I'm gonna go bold here. I'm gonna say Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay. So we have Keanu Reeves in The Lake House versus Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. 30 seconds starting with Russell.
Well, I mean, we've seen Bill and Ted. I mean, Keanu Reeves is the whoa, awesome. But then we try to see him do a romantic movie with Sandra Bullock, who's a great leading lady, and the chemistry on screen is not believable. Oh, I love you. Oh, everything's just so monotone. You don't buy anything in the film. Keanu Reeves just has had a lot of those movies like that where he's in those types of romantic comedies or romantic films. They're just not viable. Lake House, like I said, just no chemistry with the characters. You can't relate to him, and it's just flat out boring. His performance is monotone, and it's just not a charismatic actor like he should be.
All right, Nico, 30 seconds starting now.
In Russell's movie, Keanu Reeves is a little bit older, so he has more experience, and he's able to do more things as shown in the John Wick movies. Whereas in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, he's basically a one-hit wonder. All he has is like, dude, bruh, this, that. He's a surfer dude with really no personality to him whatsoever, other than that surfer dude. With Russell's movie, he at least gets to show a little bit more range.
Time.
Fuck.
Russell, 15 seconds starting now.
it is flat range that he plays, and the Surfer Dude actually got him a career, because if it wasn't for Point Break and being successful, he wouldn't have had a successful career like to have John Wick. So to me, I think obviously going into a romantic movie is just not viable. I believe him more in a Surfer Dude or more of a comedy type role, not a romance where he's monotone and boring.
Time. All right, Nico. 15 seconds starting now.
Yeah, I lost. I'm done.
Okay. I am an FBI agent. It's pretty much who we made it.
No!
I give it to Russell. Russell takes the game. Good job, Nico. It's just tough when you can't pull a character like that.
JV team.
It was a great match. So we'll just go around, see where we can find you and what's next for you guys. So we'll go to Russell. How are you feeling after the win today? And
I feel really.
for you?
I feel great. I want to take my hats off first and foremost to Jessica Morgan and Nico. Great competitors in the ring, what they do. I have nothing but respect for them. I have nothing but respect for whoever I go against. I just was happy to get the win finally. I had a bad first match against JTH. It was nice to come back on the opposite side of that. It's fun, especially because I had a match today and just try to come in with the right frame of mind to argue movies. I was absolutely exhausted. But I'm glad I got the W, and hats off to them. They both played great matches. Nico, up until the end, great match. Jess, nothing but love for you guys, though.
All right. Jessica, how are you feeling, and what's next for you?
I got you. You're stuck. I got you. I got you.
Trying to talk over these two is a pain in the fucking ass, by the way.
I agree.
I got you, baby.
I had to host tonight.
But that being said, this was fun as hell, and I think at this point, I'm down at like Chris Clark levels, which that alone could be fun. But yeah, that being said, I'm finally easing my way back into competition, and
Hang tight. Do you want me to get some ice?
I hope to be able to finally prove to myself and others that I actually deserve to be as highly regarded as some people take me.
Yeah. It's very tough, again, even when you rule against them and they start talking back to you and getting them to quiet down is a battle in itself. So we're going to go to Nico here. I think Russell's daughter's upset that you lost, but we can hear that. So what's next for you? I understand it didn't go your way today, so what's next for you, man?
Well, first off, Jessica Morgan, my trivia mom, she definitely showed today why she is the boss that I consider her to be. And I'm happy she's back in competition now. I look forward to seeing more of her in competition. Russell, I'm very he and I have played a couple times beforehand, but not here. So I'm glad to say I got as far as I did against him. It was just a matter of like two things. The speed run was a little different from the last time I played with Matt Beer, as opposed to like the round starting once you start talking. I had to follow a countdown, and when it got to that point, I was just like, shit, I'm screwed. Because like compared to these two, my knowledge of film is just very under par compared to these two. Certain genres I know very well, but luck of the draw. Like I don't know Keanu Reeves' filmography that well. I know of certain movies, but I've only seen like 2 of them that he's been in, and I have a long watch list ahead of me. But I'm combining movie Battleground with what Hunter Chambliss does with his wrestling debates. I'm now 0-4 in debates, which is not fun. I just keep getting screwed over. And I don't know what's next for me in terms of movie Battleground. We'll play it by ear. If you guys want to have me back, I'll be happy to be back. But good Lord, losing is not fun. It's not fun.
I agree. Not fun at all. Again, it may be me with hosting. I should have maybe just let you guys speak first and then start the timer. I just wanted to make sure the time was accurate. So that was my bad probably. But again, nothing taken away from Russell or Jessica or Nico. I think it was a great match all around. I think you guys did a really good job. Again, some of the questions you thought would go your way didn't go your way. And again, that's just all basic argument. And when you throw 3 people in the ring everything can get topsy-turvy. So, again, I enjoy you guys being my first match. Again, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, Worldwide Movie Games Network.
Did we plug our stuff?
Oh, yeah. Let's go through and plug. Russell, where can they find you?
Yeah, I have my own YouTube channel, House Hollywood Reviews, do movie reviews, trailer reactions, all that fun stuff. Also have a podcast with my boy Chance Ellison, Notorious by Chance. If you guys haven't already, check it out. We're having a lot of fun with it. We're opening polls up and voting on movies and stuff like that. Really interactive with everybody in the movie community. We just love movies, and anything that I can do to be part of movies and movie trivia, movie debates, anything. I love it, and I just love meeting new people and competing against great people like these two.
All right, Jessica, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me all over Facebook and Twitter. I do have an Instagram account. Don't actually expect to see any photos of myself on there. You're lucky you get me on camera. You can also find me every once in a while over at Multiplex Entertainment, helping out with Movie Warzone. And now that I have gotten a taste of the blood in the water, I will be back into competition mode here very shortly. And also every once in a while, sitting in Nico's chat room, yelling at him to watch more Keanu Reeves movies.
All right, and Nico, where can the good people find you?
You can find me being sent to my room because I made Mom mad. But
This is so weird.
This is me leaving again.
Hey, we're not ashamed of the joke. It's
Me leaving.
Anyway, okay, for real though, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Nico Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli, and you can find me also at Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube page. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is at Multiplex Entertainment Network. We have a TeePublic as well. New designs are coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. And be on the lookout for our upcoming pay-per-view in a couple weeks, Mayhem at the Multiplex. Chance Ellison, Russell's partner, will be defending his TV Throwdown Championship and competing against Robert Parker for the inaugural Fandom Fight Championship. More matches are set to be scheduled soon. It's just a matter of we're figuring out how the cards will play out.
All right, and I'm Cody. You can find me on Facebook. I did want to stop this without saying we give up our thoughts and condolences to Holly and John Snep's family. We lost him today. Great guy in the community, one of the faces of Collider, and it's a sad thing. We just offer up, and please donate to whatever you can with them because it's going to be pretty astronomical in medical bills. So I'm Cody. That's Russell, Jessica, Nico. Have a good night, and battle on.